Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video. Today I'm doing a video on my thoughts on Peacemaker, Season 1 of Peacemaker. As of this recording, there's only been one season of Peacemaker. Fortunately here in the UK you can get the TV show on DVD, maybe even Blu-ray. I'm not sure about that, but either way you can still get it on home media releases because HBO Max, last time I checked, is exclusive to the States. And the other thing I was going to say is that I think our version of that is like Now TV, which is pretty goddamn shite. So yeah, I've been watching this season a second time fully with someone. I also got this for my birthday, my 25th birthday, so that was awesome. I don't know if I said in that video, or in this previous video that I'm mentioning, if I mentioned that the funny thing is that I started watching it, sort of intending to just watch it on my own, and then my mum was just like, what's this, what's this, what's this? And then just started watching it with us and laughing along with it. So that was kind of fun and interesting, really. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, she was like really not interested in Peacemaker as a character in The Suicide Squad, the movie. Least favourite character, so yeah, I mean, I was sort of 50-50 on him. I thought he was good in the parts that he had, and John Cena's actually a lot better of an actor than I ever anticipated he would be, and yeah, I think the TV show, it's very cinematic, it's very stylized, it's very over the top to say the least, but it's also it's filmed like a film, but I guess that's because James Gunn predominantly only has ever directed films. This is the first time he's ever done a TV show, and it's exclusive to HBO Max, so they'll have thrown a lot of money at him to make this. So he's got, like probably state-of-the-art cameras and dollies and this, that and the other and stuff behind the scenes. And that, so the music, the score, or the soundtrack I should say, not so much score, but the soundtrack is very inspired by James Gunn's heavy metal / grunge / whatever else, sort of his musical tastes. So hopefully, ideally you vibe with that, because otherwise it might be a bit of a rocky journey for you watching this show. I like the fact that they're smart enough to have some carryover, not just with John Cena as Peacemaker, but with like Hardcore and John Economos, the actors who play those parts in The Suicide Squad, carry over to this show. And although we don't really see Amanda Waller a lot in this show, she gets referenced and dropped a lot, as well as lots of other characters and little Easter eggs and little tidbits to the other parts of the DC universe. I don't want to say DCEU because but yeah, I appreciate that. I'm not mega up to date with like what's going on with DC in the comics or even the TV shows, so the only real DC show that I've watched from beginning to end, even a full series of, is Peacemaker, maybe Gotham Season 1, and maybe The Flash Season 1, I think, but those were many moons ago at this point. And yeah, I adore Vigilante. I think he's my favourite character. He is literally just the sort of Ninja Brian from Ninja Sex Party sort of character who's just like a fucking maniac who will just kill everything that moves and not even care about it, and I just think that's so funny. Basically, I'd say the elevator pitch for this show is like, imagine if a stoned American teenager pitched sort of like X-Files or Men in Black. That sort of vibe you're going for, yeah, but with like a lot of comedy / swearing and violence. Like, it's just, yeah, to the max, really. It's a 15, weirdly enough. Although, to be fair, I guess you don't really see Peacemaker kill people quite a lot until sort of the second half of the series. Although I guess that is kind of interesting, character-wise, to sort of play this drama where, or this idea that although they've got this hired killer, as I just said earlier, you don't actually start killing until sort of latter end to the series. Yeah, I should have probably prefaced this video / review by saying spoilers. I will be spoiling the series. I think it was filmed probably 2021, so during the pandemic, but then released on HBO Max early 2022, sort of mid to late January 2022. It's, what else is it? It's an 8-part series, or an 8-episode mini-series, I guess. The episodes range from sort of 40 minutes to 50 minutes, so as I was saying to the person that I was watching this with, this is the plus side to streaming, the fact that, you know, these days you get to have video, or the TV show, the episodes get to be the length that they need to be, rather than all of them having to be 20 minutes, 25, half an hour, little sort of bite-sized things, because I guess you would have smaller episodes, but maybe more episodes. You know, like the duration of the episodes might be smaller, much smaller back in the day, but you might have like a 12-episode series, or in an American sort of season, you know, 20, 24 episodes, whereas these days that seems to be a rarity. You know, you get more sort of 8 to 12 episode seasons, with episodes ranging from 40 minutes to an hour and 10, you know, in length. But yeah, I think it's good that what I was trying to say or articulate earlier, that the characters transfer over from the Suicide Squad, other than just Peacemaker, just to ease the transition. In so much as if you were really apprehensive about John Cena and his character as Peacemaker, that there are maybe some other characters you could identify with, or sort of slightly attached to, or care about a little bit more, which then in turn might make you care more about Peacemaker sort of through those characters, maybe, if you're not already on board with him as a character. It is confirmed there will be a season 2 at some point, so that's great. Although I am curious what they'll do next. It would be nice. My major thing that I'd like to see from season 2 is maybe something where it's not just a giant something, you know, like, or like they have a mission where it's not just the thing that is like the file name almost, you know, because they even kind of make early on in the series a sort of comment about that, like, you guys aren't creative with your file names, like Project Starfish, or your project names, Project Starfish fish was a giant fish, starfish, what's this gonna be, a giant fucking moth, like, am I dealing with a mothma here, or whatever he says, and it's like, well, yeah, like, it is very sort of tongue-in-cheek and on the nose and very literal, I guess, in that sense. So again, it would be nice if they kind of maybe tried to, I don't know if tone down is the right word, but to be a bit more, I don't know if subversive is even the right word, because there are some really cool, interesting twists and turns, you know, and it's not just about the alien invasion, it's about the characters and how they interact with each other, and how it's about essentially this sort of uber macho guy who is very stern and set in his ways, tries to evolve and be something new in a world that is very sort of contradictory to the world that he grew up in and the sort of people that he grew up with, and the things that he's done in his past. You know, basically, to cut a long story short, obviously James Gunn has said in interviews and maybe even behind the scenes of this show, which I think he might have said in this, or in the case of Peacemaker, that he likes playing with, for lack of a better term, the sort of broken toys, as it were, you know, the characters who are very deeply flawed mentally or emotionally and mentally, and there's something interesting there to dig deeper into, you know, there's something, for lack of a better term, atypical about them, you know, there's something sort of that there's a difference to them. You know, they're not just a clean cut Superman. That being said, I would be interested to see how James Gunn tackles Superman moving forward, because we know that he's doing a Superman movie, I think, question mark, or maybe it's a TV show, but either way, he's doing a Superman project in the future. But that does interest me in so much as I just said, with your characters like Peter Quill from Guardians of the Galaxy, played by Chris Pratt, and then your John Cena's sort of playing Peacemaker on the DC side. These are characters who have, you know, for lack of a better term, Matthew is saying the word trauma here, trauma or angst or deep-seated regret or remorse or things holding them back, you know, to their full potential or to fully open up. But to be fair, throughout this series, Peacemaker is constantly up against these people trying to dick him over, you know, and yeah, so it's fun in that sense. It's very relevant to internet culture, as cringy as that is to say out loud, or it tries to be anyway. But I guess it's already, probably as soon as it aired, dated, because, you know, the internet, everything changes within every second of every moment, really. And so yeah, I do like the fact that he just is very blunt and does swear a lot. And in that sense, the comedy is funny, or the jokes do land for me personally. You know, it's questioning things about, you know, the American culture and the American way and the internet and this, that, and the other, and other people's preferences in terms of their relationships and whatever else. But then again, that clashes with how he was brought up, and, you know, this sort of very macho sort of person, but is he always like that? And is there someone underneath that helmet, as it were? I was going to say mask, but that's vigilante. The main cast is quite small, I guess, but it's interesting in that sense, because the stakes feel very high, because there's only so much of a small core ensemble cast and group of people trying to avert this big cataclysmic, almost, you know, world-defying or end of world sort of situation. You know, so you really are rooting for the underdogs here, and I quite like that. I quite like that bit. I love the intro. The intro's fucking awesome. You know, I love that. The music and the dance sequence, and Eagly is awesome as well as a character. I love the fact that that's played by or voiced by D. Bradley Baker, who, if I'm not mistaken, voices like all of the clones in Clone Wars. I think that's hilarious. Yeah, I like the fact that we see different helmets as well. Like, the different helmets do different things, and we see who makes them for him, and yeah, you just sort of deep dive more into his personal life as a character. I think even if you're not a massive fan of John Cena or a massive fan of the character Peacemaker, I think this show should hopefully surprise you and win you over. I think that's what it's trying to do. As I say, I was sort of 50-50 about his character in The Suicide Squad. And it doesn't matter if you haven't seen that film. If you go into this just as a TV show, you can still enjoy it as just a TV show. It references some stuff to The Suicide Squad, the James Gunn one, obviously, but if you haven't seen those things, or it just does flashbacks to those things, so it's not like just verbally saying them as though it expects all the audience to have seen the movie. It visually just flashes back to those things, so it's not like it takes you out of the immersion of this series. As I say, it's just some loose connective tissue to the film. Great if you've seen the film. You're not hopefully going to be alienated by it being there if you haven't seen the film, or even if you have seen the film but you haven't seen it since you just watched it at the cinema, because there would have been a gap between these two things. I think Suicide Squad came out in The Suicide Squad came out in summer 2021, so this would have come out like 6-7 months later or something, you know. So, but yeah, thanks for watching. Please do comment, rate and subscribe to the channel.